Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
yeah,
You know,
he's like,
he's up there slapping it, pissing all over everything.
is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's right. I know.
Why did you say his name?
Hervé Villagers.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors.
It's that time of year. It's that time of year where we all need to be thinking about, do we have everything we need to hit the woods? Chances are you don't, and if you think you do, you probably could use some more. So how about you go over to thehuntworks.com and check out all the incredible products these guys are carrying. This is a great family, local store. Dan and Steve Dunnigan, a couple hardworking sumbitches. They are now carrying archery equipment, everything from bows to arrows to broadheads, quivers, you name it. So on top of all the great tree stands and box blinds that they're carrying, they're now a full-on archery dealer, and really recommend that you check these guys out for your next big purchase. Head over to thehuntworks.com to see what they've got for sale, or if you're local in the Rochester area, head on over to their store in East Rochester on Dispatch Drive and check them out. They are on social media, The Huntworks, and also online, like I said. And if you purchase anything online, you can use promo code FEEDIN'Em to get 5% off. And that's FEED, FEEDIN, INUM, 5% off. Feed 'em. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Pert Near Outdoors podcast. As always, your host, Billy, here, and thank you for joining us to this episode that will be posted on the 22nd of December, almost Christmas time. Regular and late muzzleloader archery season have wrapped up here in New York, and we are now patiently awaiting that final 6-7 days of season, whatever it is, the holiday hunt they call it here in New York, and we're all kind of a little bit burnt out, it feels like, and not necessarily all that fired up. We're kind of looking to the next chapter. Dallas and I were talking yesterday. We're pretty excited about what the winter will hold for us, and when we get a lot of tat work done as far as working in the woods with chainsaws and really getting projects started. But nonetheless, we've still got a little bit of time left, and this podcast here is going to be breaking down the giant buck that my brother-in-law AJ shot with the gang on Sunday morning, the 18th. You'll hear the whole story, the whole breakdown, but couldn't be happier for AJ. He's had a whale of a season. He hunted a lot early on during archery, targeting a couple deer that he knew were on his family farm, and never was able to connect, but he stuck with it. And gun season, we talk a lot on here about the snowstorm we had in November right before opening day of gun season, and that really jacked up a lot of people's, including many of our guys, jacked up that first week and a half of gun season as the snow was so deep. We had anywhere between 5 to 6.5 feet of snow in the areas that we hunt, and it was essentially impossible to hunt, and nor was it a lot of fun to try to chase deer in, because they were just in survival mode themselves. So we talked quite a bit about that, but AJ didn't get out a lot until we got down to Pennsylvania, and he shot that beautiful buck in PA, his first buck in PA, and then here we go into muzzleloader season. He got out on Sunday and was the lucky recipient of this deer broadside at a little over 100 yards, and he dropped him, and they ended up needing to put a couple more shots in him. He spined him with the shot, but that will happen. But impressive that he hit the deer at over 100 yards with iron sights, and it was a true team effort to put this deer on the ground, and we couldn't be happier for AJ. So the story's pretty cool. I hope you enjoy it, and as we move into Christmas and New Year's here, I hope you all stay well and enjoy the time with your friends and family. For God's sakes, looks like we got a blizzard coming through, as if we needed one more storm. We've got blizzard warnings in effect for all of the Buffalo area with Erie County. I believe it's Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, up into Niagara and Orleans. So we've just been getting hammered with weather the last several weekends in a row, and but it's lining up. Looking at the weather forecast for next week, we've got we should have some decent snow on the ground all over the region, and some cold temperatures, and we're already starting to see the deer really kind of herding up and starting to hit those winter patterns, hitting those food sources and bedding in those thermal cover areas. So I'm optimistic that when we do our big hunts, our group hunts on Monday and Tuesday, that we might get ourselves into some good action with the conditions that are to come. I did get out and spend a couple days, had Monday and Tuesday off. Those are the only 2 days I hunted with the muzzleloader, and both days were beautiful hunts. The conditions were awesome. We had good snow, 6-7 inches of snow, pretty quiet walking. But I'm not gonna lie, it was awesome to get Danny Boy a deer in front of him. But I just had Danny got a nice doe. If you're following along on Instagram, you saw the pictures I posted of that. He made quick work of her. By the time I got to him, he had already had the quartering process started. He didn't want to waste any time waiting on us to get to him. So was very surprised that we didn't put any more deer up, and I didn't see a single deer, nor did Sean. So the three of us hunted Monday. We covered, I think Sean did 6 miles. I did just under 6, and Danny about the same. The only 3 deer that we saw all day were the 3 that Danny saw, and the one he ended up shooting. And so I was kind of frustrated about that, because I was thinking about thermal cover was my primary focus, and what I deduced from what we didn't see that day is that the deer were really focusing on ag fields, because all the area that we went through, there was very little browse and very little food. Hence, the deer just weren't there. We had a cold, rough weekend, and so if there's one takeaway I had from that day was, we weren't where the deer were because of the food wasn't there. So on the way out Monday afternoon, I did see it was 3:30, 3:45, and the does were already out in numbers in all the cut cornfields around. So I keyed in on that, and then I went back to the same area on Tuesday and put another good 6-hour hike in. And man, I was on sign. I was very optimistic throughout the day. Like, I felt like I was just right there, like I was gonna see a deer at any moment. But I never came across anything that was the only tracks I saw that were super, super fresh. I did have some deer that I followed their tracks out to a cut cornfield to feed at night. I found where their tracks came back in from the cut cornfield back into public, and I kind of kept making loops because the wind wasn't in my favor. I kept trying to kind of make a loop around to try to get myself positioned, so if the deer were bedded down on one of these little side hills, I'd be able to catch them before they caught my wind. And every time I looped around, the deer, they just weren't there, and I would find their tracks and I'd follow them. So I ended up getting down into this kind of swampy bottom with a lot of cover, and it was loud in there, and it was tough, quiet walking. And when I came out the other side, there was fresh running tracks, and I had found the sign that was in there was within the hour or hours. So I was right behind them, but was never able to catch up with those deer. And I think a lot of that sign was made actually probably Monday while we were on the other side of the road hunting down there. So it is what it is. It is in a way kind of fun to try to figure these deer out, try to figure out a new piece of property. I've never hunted this area, so I'm trying to kind of put the pieces together and understand how they use the property during the different seasons. So I might find myself doing a little wandering there next week to try to redeem my unproductive days that I put in there. 2 days, probably about 12 miles total, 10, 12 hours, and I didn't see a single deer. So it's a little frustrating, but you gotta just take those days as a learning day, and you're trying to map out and figure out an area that you've never been before. So that's the fun part of this time of year. just getting out and trying to figure it out. So take advantage of that, and I hope you do, and I hope you have a great Christmas and a great New Year. Kind of rambled on there a little bit about my adventures, but enjoy this conversation. The first probably the first 10, 15 minutes, I forgot to hit the record button, so the first 10 or 15 minutes are audio from the live Bullhorn and Facebook video, but then we'll get back into some better quality audio towards the end, and we talk through the whole hunt, and then we talk about our seasons, mainly Brad and AJ, just kind of reflecting on their seasons, and I hope you enjoy. So stay well, keep feeding them, hug your wife, hug your mother, tell them you love them, enjoy your holidays. See ya. I'm just gonna talk for a second and intro it, and I'm just gonna basically hand it over because I want to hear the story. Because I wasn't there, I was in bed sucking my thumb. So
regretting it. I don't know. We'll just say like new property. Turn it to the camera.
all right, folks, we're getting ourselves all situated here. Thanks for joining us. We got the whole bushwhacking crew here. We're doing a podcast in the back room of my house so that we're not underneath my bedroom and my wife doesn't yell at us. But
Probably gonna happen anyway.
it's probably going to happen anyway.
But at least you got everything.
Because I assume when the story starts rolling, there's going to be some hooting and hollering and some yelling going on. So we've got a giant buck right here. His brother AJ shot a giant 10-pointer. Show it to him, AJ.
There we go.
That's a Saskatchewan 10-pointer right there. We were hunting Saskatchewan yesterday. Long journey up to the Northland. So I want to pass this over to, I'm going to give my headset to AJ. I figure we'll run through the story, kind of hear how it all went down. And then Dallas, you guys ended up shooting a couple more deer after this one. I suppose I haven't heard any of the story. So I want to hear the story, and then we'll kind of start shooting shit, and then we'll let Dallas get to work on scoring. But I did put a post up on the Facebook page. Anybody that wants to throw a guess in for what this deer will score, we'll do a live scoring here with Dallas, and then we'll whoever's the closest inches wise. You got to be. What's the Price is Right deal? Like you can't be
Closest without going over.
closest without going over. That's how we're going to do it. So to get any drama out of the way, closest to the actual score of the deer will get a Pert in Your hat of your choosing and a t-shirt as well. So I'm going to pass it over to put this headset on AJ, and then we're gonna hear how this all went down.
Why don't you start since you're the first one to see it, right? Yeah. So I took these guys hunting.
You don't say.
It's a property that we recently started hunting. We did it last year once and started doing it again this year. So this year, because of the storm, we got a lot of snow over there, and it kept a lot of pressure off of it. So
Like opening week.
Opening week,
Right?
yeah,
Also.
opening week. So it kept a lot of pressure off it and made the property better than it ever was, by far. So I put a camera up there and I was getting some good bucks, and I mean nothing like this one though. We did know that this buck was in there or around there. So we were supposed to have 5 guys, and it was just us. We had to work.
Who was the 5th?
Sean.
Oh, I thought that was.
Billy,
I thought I was supposed to be there.
So he didn't go with us either. But Sean was supposed to go with us. He got, he had to work overtime and everything, so he didn't get out in the morning like he wanted to. So it was 4 of us, and on the first push it was okay, but I was worried that we were going to be thinning guys in the second push. So, we kind of talked about it and set up a little bit different. We did this push kind of the same as last year, though, except for you weren't in that brush hog. So, yeah, we started walking in there and western, and we started walking north. And it's kind of brushy, and then it gets the trees, and I kind of figured that's where the beds are and everything, and sure as shit, I'm walking through there, and I see this deer laying down. So right away, I put my scope up on it, and part of the story is there's been a lot of half racks since that storm on this property, and I haven't seen it, but someone told me that there was a big half rack in there, and I don't know, I just did not want to shoot a half rack. I feel like if you shot a buck like this with a half rack, I don't know, I don't want to do it, so I was cautious about it. So I saw him laying down, but I could only see his right side. And I was thinking about it all day. I could not see his left side. And I was actually going to look to see if it was darker on the side and the inside. Are the horns dark on that side?
No, pretty light.
I still have no idea how I couldn't see it.
Because it's too wide.
There was brush behind him. I mean, I had him in my scope. It was snowing. By then it was snowing still. And I couldn't freaking see it. So as soon as he started getting up, he was facing the way he went, and he like lunged as he was getting up. And it was freaking over with. Like I couldn't get on him again. He's gone. So I thought I was going to puke. And I yelled at Brian. I'm like, Brian, big after buck coming right towards you. And then that's when Brian started making his mistakes.
It was so thick. I don't even know what kind of brush that is, but it sucks. I was just, I like had my head down and my gun up, and I was just like pushing through it.
Put the mic right in front of you.
But you go through 5 or 10 yards of that, and then it would be, like where a deer would walk. You could have a little spot, and he's yelling, and that he's coming right to you, and I couldn't see like.
When I said he's coming right to you, I meant like he was gonna run you over. Like you weren't that far from me. I saw you a couple times as you were going through there, and I literally thought you were gonna be riding on top of his horns.
Well, so we just crossed that little bit of opening where the goldenrod was, and it was all knocked down, and then you could see those poplars in that brush. There's a little island of poplars, and that's all I could think was something's going to be laying there. You were on one side, I was on the other. So we crossed that little bit of a clearing, get into the really, really thick stuff. You start screaming. I'm trying to figure out what to do, and I can't see more than like a few, I don't know. You could probably see 10 yards, I don't know, but it's just thicker than hell. So I thought, I was worried, obviously he was coming towards us. I didn't want him to double back. Plus, so I ran back to where it was kind of open. I thought that was my only chance of actually like seeing him and getting a shot. And I waited there for a couple seconds, and he didn't show. I knew we were only 60 or 80 or, we were less than 100 yards apart. So I kind of knew that he didn't go that way. So when I turned around, go back in the brush, he was standing in the exact spot that I was when you were yelling at me. So he would have ran me over right in the brush, and he blew at me and turned around. We were only like 10 yards apart. And that's when I started kind of
Getting sick.
Just a little sick to my stomach.
So how close did you say he was?
10 yards or less. I turned around and I started walking back in there, and I see the steam. He just blew and turned around and took off. And by the time I got the gun up, it was just.
Oh,
I never got him in the scope. It was so thick, But I was standing in that like brush, just like
the stuff that we walked through last year.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the shot.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm like, where is the shot? Where is the shot? Don't tell me.
And then it was only like 20 seconds after that.
It was long for me because I'm like, don't let this thing get away. I didn't think he was gonna run the way he took off. I did not think he was gonna run to Dallas and AJ. I didn't think he was gonna boot out the end of it.
But he ran to the east. He ran with the wind at his back. There's no reason he should have done it.
Well, I bumped him and he was to my right, so
Right.
I feel like he wasn't gonna go into the wind because of that.
Okay, and I guess my wind was good because it was blowing from him to me.
Right.
He was must have been right in between us.
Right. He was 15 degrees off from my center. And I walked. The reason why I could walk up to him like that is because the snow was a foot deep and it was brand new. There was slop underneath, and it was dead silent.
Yeah.
But I wasn't worried about not making enough noise to boot deer out of there because it really wasn't that wide or where we were pushing. I could have been quiet as a mouse and everything was going to be pushed out of there no matter what. So I just walked as quiet as I could.
It was quiet walking until you got in and you were like brushing through, pushing through that thick shit.
If I wasn't such an idiot, he didn't know we were even there. I could have literally like shot, hunted that deer on my own. I could have walked up on him on my own.
Sure. And you say he was with a doe?
If I would have known he was there.
Yeah. He was with the doe.
So that
we didn't know. We didn't see the doe. But I did see a huge bed after that, and the doe must have been. They weren't right next to each other because not another deer did not come out of So where I stopped, that doe bed was only another 10 yards.
I never saw her once.
That's wild.
Ever.
Yeah, so
It felt like not that long after
it was a while because I felt the same way because I heard Brad yelling, I heard Brian, and I heard Big One, and I'm like, so Emma was with me, and we were sitting on the west side, which is where the wind was coming from. So we were sitting on the upwind side. So my job, I felt like, was at all costs I had to make sure that buck didn't get across that open trail and into the next property. So that was what I was set up to do to begin with. But then when I heard Big One, I told Emma, I go, big buck coming. So I'm like down on a knee, ready to, I'm going to cover that trail no matter what. And I saw a flash of a deer in there, which Emma actually said later that she saw it fawn, like it came walking down towards us after the whole thing was over. So maybe that's the deer we saw. I just saw a flash of brown, and I go, he's coming out, because it was on my side. So I'm like, okay, they're coming this way,
like they should.
I don't know. I know you guys are big on that buck running into the wind thing. I
saw more deer go with the wind at their back this year that we won't.
I've seen it plenty, but I just don't feel like they should.
The wind is just one factor. There's a lot of reasons why they do what they do, but I can tell you why he did what he did. So, anyway, to get to that, but at first, then there was, after I saw that deer, then there was maybe, it did feel like a long time, but I don't know, maybe it was only 10 or 20 seconds because the suspense, you're sitting there like your heart's racing, like you're just ready to get it done. And I'm thinking through all the scenarios. Like I said, number one is I got to make sure he doesn't go that way. But then me and AJ were only 150 yards apart, 125 yards apart. So, but we're way back from where you guys are. So, but if that deer comes to split us, we got to be careful about shooting back into them, and we got to be careful about shooting at each other. So I'm going through scenarios, and all of a sudden that's when I see him. I didn't really see him come out of the brush, but anyways, the part where me and AJ were sitting in is a brushy field, but it's all low. It's only like as high as the couch cushion. Yeah, knee high. So they come out into that, but they're just behind. There's like one bush right in front of them, but I see it's the buck and the doe. Now I see the buck from that distance, and I'm going to say he was maybe 150 yards away. So I can see the tines there, and I can see that he's a 10-pointer, but to me he doesn't look like this kind of a deer because I can just see his left side. He's quartered away from me. So I'm like, oh, it's a nice 10-pointer. Like, obviously he's a shooter. Brad already told me he was, So he's just standing there with this doe, and that's why he's doing what he's doing, because doe will do the weirdest stuff. Like, they seem to go where they want to go. When you chase them, they feel like I think they do things for a lot of different reasons. But a buck, when he's with a hot doe, he's not going to leave her. He's got no idea what's going on. Even after he blows at Brian, he sees you, blows at you, then he runs, another 30 yards, and he's just standing there in the open, just waiting for her to make the next move.
Yeah, it was probably closer to 100, but it wasn't that far.
So I got this, now I'm standing there, offhand with the scope, the crosshairs kind of on him, but there's just this one bush, like, right in the way. But I can still, I know it's not too thick to shoot through as long as I can figure out where his body is, which I think I got figured out. So I'm not ready to quite, of course it's muzzle loader, so you're going to get one shot, right? So, and you don't really want to waste it, but it's on AJ's side. So I look at the deer, and then I look back, and I'm looking at AJ, and I see him with his gun up and everything, but he's not shooting. And I know one of the reasons, well, he told me that he just didn't want to, he'll say more, but he didn't want he wanted to make sure he waited for a good shot. But also he'd been kind of shooting back at Brad at that point too. So my angle was that I would have been shooting out into the field, so I'm like, well, fuck it, I'm sending one, So, but what I wanted to do was kneel down, because I always try to get on a knee for those freehand shots because I'm just 10 times more steady. Well, when I knelt down, that knee-high brush was just all in my way. I couldn't see anything. So I had to stand back up and try to steady the gun, knowing that I figured he's going to take off at any second. And I steadied on where I thought it was good, and I sent one, and he jumped and took off. And I don't know if he took 1 or 2 bounds out of there, or was it a little more before you got the shot? It seemed like it happened fast.
You took the shot, and I went around. I was on the west side of the bush.
So I then went around to the east side because he's heading east into like a runway opening.
Yeah.
Which it was completely open. There was no longer any of those brush there. But he took probably, I'd say, 10 yards, stopped, and then took another 2 or 3 steps out into that clearing. And I just offhand shot from there. So, said a prayer.
How far of a shot was it?
I'm thinking it was about 100.
I think it was over 100.
It was a bit of a poke.
Buck 20, buck 30, I bet. Buck 20.
And you're shooting
That
iron
was,
sights.
yeah.
That was with your iron
sights.
sight? Iron, oh my God.
So he was just moving slower.
He was following the doe. So the doe stopped, looked at me, and he stopped, looked at the doe, looked at me, and then took like 1 or 2 steps of the doe shooting. So I spined him. He went down, and then I realized how big he was. Before that, I had no clue how big he was. But when I spined him, he turned and faced me, and it was like a silhouette of this rat just there. I'm like, holy.
So as it's snowing sideways and you're trying to reload your muzzle loader.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So I reload, send another shot. In the meantime, I lose my ramrod. I lose all my quick shots. So I had one more shot. He didn't go down at that point, so I'm just yelling. He's still up.
Yeah. Basically, it's help. I'm yelling, Brian, get out there. And meanwhile, I still haven't reloaded my gun yet because I shoot, he jumps, AJ hammers him. So AJ paralyzed the back end of the deer. So he's out in a freaking pond out there lifting his enormous head and rack up off the ground like this. So I can see him through the brush over there. And I'm like, so at first I was like, oh, Emma, we got him, like whatever, we got him. So then eventually it's like, holy shit, I need to reload my gun. So I'm reloading, and that's when I hit him, like, Brian, get out there. So of course Trigger Reliable goes running out there and gets to work.
Yeah, my heart rate was like 200. I go running out through the snow was only a little over a foot deep, but in that brush it was like,
it was nasty.
It was, I go running out there, and I'm not much of an athlete or a runner. I don't know if you guys know me or not. And so I run that 80 yards out there and start running towards see what AJ's pointing at, and he was trying to get up, and I'm like, holy shit.
I was running around to try to circle him back into all our shooters because I wasn't sure. I mean, I knew he was hit, but I wasn't sure how bad he was hit. So I just want to stop him from getting to the house or the.
Yeah, well, we only went like 5 yards total.
Yeah, he didn't go far, but.
So, yeah, I line up on him to shoot, hammer back. I start squeezing the trigger. I'm like, oh. And you're trying to line up, and you can't really see his body because the snow's so deep and he's in a puddle, and he just keeps coming up. I'm like.
So Brian shoots him, and then Brian's yelling at me, and I'm like, I don't even see the buck.
Yeah.
I don't even see the buck because I'm
get over here.
Yeah, so I started running. I run over there. I shoot him. Brian's doing a firing squad.
I reloaded by the time he shot. I ran out.
Firing squad.
So it was a little bit of a rodeo. He never went anywhere.
No, he was down.
When I finally saw him, I didn't think he was getting up, but I've been duped before. So.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You've heard a lot of stories of people knocking them down with the gun. They hit them above the lungs, drops them. They're like stunned.
Right. That buck last year for me, that thing, at my last shot, that thing was tracking away from me. Like it was fine. And all of a sudden, I double lunged it, so it took a little bit and it fell over.
Yeah.
But I was like literally sit back there on my stand, like, holy hell, that thing's walking away from me. And all of a sudden, boom. So you never know. You don't stop until they stop.
Yeah. No. Right. I mean, we talk about that a lot. But on top of the fact that obviously you need to get a kill shot in him. You don't want to see him suffer.
Yeah.
But this son of a bitch just kept fighting.
Empty 100 dead deer.
I had to end up putting a knife through him as the final straw. So I can't. They wanted me to shoot him, and I'm like, no way.
Yeah, not at that point, right?
Yeah, at that point he wasn't really picking his head up much, but he was tough.
How old do you think this deer is?
We haven't looked at his teeth yet or anything like that, but
we can't really cut in there to look because.
But just his head, like
he's got the big Roman nose on him. He's got to be 5.
He's 5 or 6. He's definitely not younger than that.
No, it could be anything really, but I don't think there's any way he's under 5.
Amazing. So you took care of that, and then what happened?
We were losing some serious time.
Yeah, so we kind of just ran over there and did the other side.
We did the other side, and we set up differently. Brian was the only one sitting, and he got up in a stand. I mean, we had deer running all over the place in there. And then this doe, like, that was the closest a deer's ever ran past me. And that thing was hauling ass. And then it ran out of the push. And after it ran past, I'm like, man, that was a big animal. You know, I'm like, I wonder if that was a buck with no horns. Turns out the thing hooks me, goes between me and you, right?
Runs right in front of you.
Yeah, like 10, 15 yards in front of me. So that was an interesting point because we were talking about how that was a buck with no horns. And that thing hooked me and ended up heading straight west. You know?
Well, yeah, he hooked you, headed south past AJ, and then did the big loop around towards me, and he was heading in the wind, and I just was watching the thing the whole time going, I don't feel like dealing with this. Now I'm thinking, well, I need to shoot a couple does. And I'm just going, no, and finally I'm like, this thing's just, man, it's got a big head on it. It is a big, it's got to be cocked and just tendering, running. And I'm like, that's a big doe. Me and AJ get up there and it's like, oh. Got a big head.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So I gave that to my brother-in-law. It'll be interesting to see if anything's wrong with it.
Right.
Did it, like, was like clean?
Yeah, it shed on both.
Yep.
And
But shed like a while ago, it looked like? Or?
Well, I don't know how fast they heal. I mean, it had to be, it was all like black and healing over.
Yeah, I mean,
so was that a few days or a week or I don't know.
I would think it'd only take a couple days.
Yeah, I mean, think about when you get a cut.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago over there, I saw 4 different half racks. So, and then I heard about a big half rack that I never saw. I was thinking he was him. And so I don't know. I think that storm just stressed them out because they got a lot of snow there.
Yeah.
During the November storm.
Yep.
So, and we've seen years down in PA. I feel like the years where the horns start falling off early. You know, that first year I went with you guys, your buck lost its one horn when it fell, and then when you pulled it out of the crate, you lost the other one.
Right.
There was a foot of snow.
Yeah, so, Danny had a buck. Did one of yours the horns popped off?
2 years in a row.
I was going to say there's 2 or 3 years in a row that we had.
That's pretty common.
Yeah, that scared the horns off that lawn.
Yeah. It's happening every year because even though we didn't see it there this year, for us, Steve Shirk and Ralph both Ralph shot
a buck on opening day.
But he's saying that those guys are saying they observe that every year in December. So
yeah, it scared the horns off the one year. He chased that thing. He was relentless, and he followed that thing through the cherry brush for most of the day, and he finally jumped all the way across the road. We were parked. Was it the last?
I start putting some tape to it.
The first day, the first afternoon.
That was the first afternoon.
When Bill missed the buck.
Yep.
That was the first afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's the area where you were chasing that buck.
Yeah, and he jumped from the cherry up top all the way across the road and went down into that day, and he lost his horn right before that.
Yeah.
In the cherry.
Wow.
So yeah, same time, Brad sent me and Emma down a path on that would be the north side of the property there. And as soon as we got out of the truck and started walking, we were seeing deer come across there, but most of them seemed to be coming down, which I figured out later was where it's weird. That's another situation there where it goes from all that thick swampy brush to like just that real short stuff. But right where it transitioned, that's where the deer kept coming up and crossing there. So we finally got ourselves in the right position, and Emma's been giving me grief for your years because we shoot a lot of deer together, but never have shot a buck together because usually we're doe hunting when we're together. So I'm not going to say that's the only reason why I shot this buck, but
we have a contest to win.
Well, yeah, that too. But no, she actually kind of thought that because I wasn't sure if I hit this buck or not, I was maybe 50-50 on it. I thought I sent a good shot downrange, and I knew it was far from, I don't miss very often, but this is a shot where obviously I could see myself missing, so, but she kind of, I said we got him, and I kind of meant like as a group that we got him, and I think she interpreted that as that I got the buck, and so she was a little disappointed when she found out that AJ had been the one that shot the deer.
Oh, okay.
So I think she kind of had it in her head already that that was happening. So anyways, 2 bucks ended up coming across and to right together, and the first one was just a forky or something, and the second one, the way that he was kind of turned angling away from me, he actually looked pretty decent, but of course, they don't give you long after Brad dogged him out of there, and it's only an opening as wide as this living room, so it's kind of like make a decision quick. So I told her I'm going to shoot him, and I dropped to a knee, and he stopped and looked at me when I did that, and I 10-ringed him and said, "Yep, I got him." And then I started thinking about it. I was like, "Huh, I wonder what that was." So it ended up being like a nice little 8-pointer. I don't know if he's a 1 or a 2-year-old, so we'll have to find out when we look at his teeth or whatever. But she was pretty excited. We had a good time. We had a few minutes to wait around for Brad, so we had to actually drag the thing just a little bit because it ran downhill, and then got him all prepped. Brad came over and took some pictures for us and helped us get prepped up and drag him out of there. So she helped with some of the drag and stuff, and she was a pretty happy little kid by that time, so she had a good day. So made me feel good anyways.
Mm-hmm. I got a good video of her dragging it by herself for a ways.
It's only like a 3-second video, but it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I can't believe she's dragging it herself.
Well, it's that snow, I mean, I know you were. It's tough to walk through that deep snow, but the deer just slide right across it. And, of course, like we were talking, when you have the antlers, you get their head up off the ground, and you have nice handles. But, yeah, she's got it by, both sides, and she's pulling it backwards and back and forth. And that was pretty good.
I didn't think that deer was dragging easy.
Yeah.
Normally they slide better. I don't know. It just seemed like it was.
I think you walk faster than me, though, too, because I'm, like, slow and steady, but I'm trying to keep up with you, so I feel like you're kind of tugging more on your side, I hate dragging deer.
That's probably like dragging one with AJ.
I've gotten so used to not dragging deer that, like, I've said it in the past, like, I'm never dragging another deer unless it's like 40 yards to a 4-wheeler or something, because I got so used to packing them out. But there are some situations where it just doesn't warrant doing the packing, and this was one of them, so because AJ's buck, we all thought about it, and it was like, it was swampy and it was a long ways, and we're like, you know what, screw it, let's just pack him out. He's gonna get.
And really, we had 4 of us there. We probably could have just drug it out, took turns. But
the beauty of it, though, too, is then you don't have to deal with all the scrap when you get home.
Right. Yeah, half the work's done.
Hmm?
How was that keeping him there? You guys
not bad, but it was.
I had never done it before. No, I think we did all right.
It was just awkward because. Normally you would hang them by their back legs, and the hide's laying down. You just skin it real nice, but he's laying on his side, so somebody's
roll him over,
pulling the hide. Then the neck, that's all like goofy. With the warm, it's all like gelatin up there, and then you're like flip him over, and it's like just a little awkward.
We had a hard time getting his neck to break off, but it wasn't because we didn't have the hide up far enough. It just seemed like we just had a hard time getting through.
Well, and it was a couple of vertebrae down from the top one.
Oh, from where you normally do it?
Yeah, the top one. See, they look the same, and I got it popped at the top, but then there was nothing else I could pop, and we tried. AJ spun it like a whole turn around the one time, and it's like, I ain't doing anything, and Dallas got in there with a knife for a little while, and finally it went like a turn and a half, it seemed like, before it finally just went.
Yeah, you guys really put my knife sharpening skills to the test. I went to cut a strap off my muzzleloader bag tonight, and I'm sitting there hacksawing the thing. That was the one we were trying to get the head off with.
Well, you told me it was a sharp knife.
Yeah, it was. It was like you cut a guardrail.
Hey, it was already dull when I got to it, so
test your equipment.
I think the same thing happened. I tried to cut the head off your buck last year, and I think I went one vertebrae down too far because I had a hard time with that one too. So
yeah, they come right off if you get that top vertebrae, but it was hard to skin it all the way up to that. Since he's 28 and a half inches wide outside. It gives them just a little, you can't really just like slide the height over it.
So I've had, like, Emma didn't get a lot of hunting in through the normal part of the season, especially after the snow we had and everything. But the last, like, couple weeks since we came back from PA, we got a doe together, which she got to blood trail it and drag it and do all that kind of stuff on that one too. And then we had I took her to Pennsylvania and did a legit all-day hunt with her in Pennsylvania and pushed her through that, and she did pretty good there. She did really good there, actually. And now this, so she's had a good run here lately, so she knows what to do, now.
And she's going to be 11 tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow's her 11th birthday. So she's ready to rock. She wants to hunt the holiday season next year. So
We'll have to kick somebody off the Letchworth squad.
she'll just, whatever we do, she'll be with me, So I don't think I'm going to let her shoot that muzzleloader ahead of time, though. She's already a little afraid of it, so
no.
We're just going to shoot the 22 all year round to get ready, and then when it comes to crunch time, we're just going to put the gun in her hands and say, do what you do, and, hopefully the adrenaline will take over. And
those muzzleloaders feel like a BB gun when you're
They do
hunting.
to me, yeah.
When you're target shooting,
they don't.
Yeah.
But, like, man, they feel and they sound like nothing. It's like, did I have a full load in there?
Yeah, I know.
But
the second time I didn't have a full load in there. I put my hand in my pocket, and there was probably like a quarter of my powder in my pocket. So that's why I knocked that bullet out of the gun. Oh, and then tonight I wanted to knock the bullet and powder out of there. The bullet was like soaked. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was kind of crusty, and I mean I shot it on Sunday, so it was a new bullet, and it was kind of crusty. I was glad I knocked it out of there.
my pockets were full of snow. They had all my primers and my bullets in it. And then when I was reloading in the little bit of kind of crunch time there, I went to reload the second time, and I poured a whole empty powder thing in my gun. And I'm like, nothing hit my fingers. I'm like, so I was putting my empty ones back in the same pocket.
Most people don't have that problem because they only usually take one shot.
Well, most people aren't me.
I loaned my other muzzleloader to my one buddy tonight, Jason, and he's like, you put two of these in, and you know the old Pyrex, how they stick together? I said, put two of them in. He's holding two of them up because they're welded together, and he's like, I put two of these in. I'm like, no, that's two.
That's two.
You put that in there. Can you imagine if he would have put four of them in there?
Yeah, it'll handle 3, but I don't know what would happen if you put 4 in.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to find out. Billy, that CVA, I don't know.
You're not sure?
What's CVA?
Just the ramrod, right?
Billy and I both bought CVA MRXs, Accurate MRXs, and it's got the carbon fiber snapped together ramrod that's in a bag. It's free floating barrel, so it's not attached to the barrel. So I put the bag on my sling, but I had the bag so it opened to the bottom. Well, when you put the muzzleloader, I put it on my foot, and then I'm putting everything in there. Well, now the ramrod's upside down.
Snow.
So tonight, I flipped it around, and I have it going through one ring, so the top of the bag opens the front of the gun, or the end of the gun that you're loading it from. So hopefully that's a little bit better. But with that thing, you can't put it back in the bag when it's unfolded. So you can't just stick it back in the gun. I'm not in love with it.
No.
And then
so you're gonna end up
don't just throw it because you will never find it.
Especially in a foot and a half of snow.
So then today that gun was all rust. When I went to clean it and take care
Inside.
of it was all the barrel was shiny as hell. But the outside of the barrel and then like where the gun breaks there's a bunch of rust in there, and then the what do you call that, the foregrip or whatever snaps right off, which is nice. I like that part of it. Mm-hmm. But there was like rust in there and everything. I was cleaning it for a while, yeah. So I don't know, pure stainless, but how good is the stainless?
That's concerning.
The thing shoots well, shoulders well.
Yeah.
It feels nice.
It's very comfortable to carry. So I hunted with that today for the first time, and it's not normal. Most of my bucks are like 14 inches, or smaller. The the foregrip, it's like that rubbery material.
I like
and
that.
it keeps your hand warm, you know, compared to carrying my Thompson Center. It's a little bit colder.
Yeah, your hand's warmer, and it's definitely easier to carry.
Yeah. So what I did I did the same thing you had. I put it on my sling, but I just was not crazy about that. So I took I actually on the bottom of my bino harness, there's molly webbing, and I put it at the bottom of my bino harness, and that's pretty slick. So all you got to do is just pop the tab, and I just pull it out, and you can do it and put it right back in. So I'm pretty happy with that. But
you almost got to find a spot to put it when if you say you load another one real quick and you're going to shoot.
Right.
You should almost find somewhere where the ram, the palm part
like
of it
will bottom out.
Can't go through, like a zipper.
Belt loop. Or a zipper's a good idea.
Loop on a zipper or something. You got to put it in there because you can't get the thing back in the bag.
Right. In the moment, you're not going to do that.
No.
Right.
So I don't know if it's my forever gun.
It's going back and forth. Right.
So Dallas is starting to measure this, and Dallas is a certified scorer for the New York State Big Buck Club. So he's been busy this year for sure.
It's 27 and 8.
So we got some people putting some score guesses in here.
Yeah.
For those of you keeping track at home.
All right, so we're going to stick with
All right. Should we just score it right along? Okay. Right. You want me to write it, Dallas? Yeah, AJ, how are you feeling about yourself right about now? You shot two of your best bucks ever in the last 2 weeks. So you
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, a little swollen.
So what's swollen? Could you explain? Is it your head or little Johnny?
No, I'm staying a little humble here. I mean, the only reason I'm getting these are because I'm around you guys.
That's one reason. But you have been grinding this year. I mean, you've hunted a lot, and
yeah, but it's almost frustrating to me that, like you were saying, I was grinding. I was grinding early in the season with bow season.
Yeah.
Once rifle hit here, things just haven't worked out.
No.
I haven't been out, and I got two of my best bucks when I haven't really put time in.
I think there's a lot to be said for that, quite honestly. This is the least I've hunted in a season in several years, and I feel better about the way the season's played out because I haven't just been putting that much pressure on. You just go when you can go.
Yep.
Instead of those evenings when you're like, I gotta get out, and you go sit for an hour and a half, especially during archery, and it's like nothing happens, and you know it's a strain. You got 3 kids. It's like there's never a dull moment in your household. So every one of those sits is burning something if you aren't coming home with a tag filled.
So what I picked up, or what I want to change next year, is I spent less time prepping for the season this year than I have in the past. I really think I should flip it and spend more time prepping and less time actually hunting next year.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're getting – how many years now have you been hunting?
6, I think.
Yeah, because you would have started maybe like 2016.
Yeah, it was 2016.
Right? So, I mean, you're like in that rabid stage of being a hunter where it's like you just like you need to be out there, but you're getting to that point where you're like you shot a great buck with your rifle last year, and then you shot a great buck in PA, and now you got this freaking monstrosity. What are we going to call him, by the way?
Oh, it's Bullwinkle.
Bullwinkle?
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good name.
Because I sent these guys a picture of him that morning, and I was telling Brian we're going after Bullwinkle.
Yeah.
I forgot about that picture until I was going through them this morning.
Triple wide?
And I'm like, oh.
Is that making fun of Ben Williams? You're making fun of Ben Williams. I'm going to stand up and fight you right now. I'll show you the big one, Uncle Dallas.
So after AJ got this, when we finally packed it out, he goes to me. We're walking to the next drive, and he goes, Brad, what can I shoot?
when we were going
To the second drive.
The second drive after we dropped him off at the truck,
tag.
I still have another tag. So like. It's,
Oh right, because you hadn't filled your
I
tag
hadn't
yet.
filled any of my tags.
I'm like, double down.
What can I shoot?
That was funny. Like I was gonna limit him. No more bucks.
I would understand if you did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, I probably wouldn't have got this deer, no matter what. So
It's like one of those things. So you had pictures of him
I had intel on him. Yeah.
throughout the season, or really just during the summer? Well, no, you were showing me pictures from your cameras. Those were
He didn't want to lose the tag. That's why I did that.
He was around in the real early season in Velvet, and then just started showing back up. Which I feel like bucks are showing back up.
Yeah. God, I've just got nothing. So my plans are for tomorrow. I was supposed to go back and hunt with my dad, my brother, and my uncle, and my cousin, but I can't. It's an hour and a half away, and Kate's been sick the last few days, and she's gonna go to daycare tomorrow. We think she's good, but it's like if I go and drive an hour and a half away, and then Lindsay calls and she's like, "You got to come get her." So I'm like scratching my plans, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen anything on the farm to tell them, and we're not just gonna go. I'm not gonna go just walk around there all day. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do tomorrow.
I would pick a decent spot where you normally see bucks, because right now I feel like anything's possible.
Yeah.
I'm getting them showing back up, and I got a couple good ideas. So I can't believe the camera that's on this property was getting tons of photos today, and after
all that abuse yesterday,
and there's a couple deer on there that I want to look at when I pull the card and put them on my computer. I really think there's more bucks out there with no horns on them, because some of them they're just huge.
You see the size of that
The pictures
doe?
you were sending us, they were huge.
They're huge.
See the size of that doe at the farm? She can be put to rest, right? I got the green light on that. They were out feeding pretty heavy in the Little Woods plot tonight. When I was driving home, I drove down the road and could see them out there. They were right in front of the buck hut. They came right out. I was like, would have been a perfect night to have one of the kids in there with us.
I was driving home at dusk, and there was a ton of deer.
Should we have guessed what that was going to score too before you got too far along?
You can guess. What's your guess? You're the one that whacked them. Don't know?
148.
I like it. 148. Note it for AJ.
I think it's over 150.
Stay humble.
So
Stay humble.
Let's talk about this. There's a rule for the New York State Big Buck that if a main beam isn't as long as the spread, you have to shorten the spread. So this deer is going to lose like 4 inches.
What?
Net. Which I hate net. Tell me how much gross it has. I don't care if it's got.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah. No.
The picture that we have, the trail cam picture that we have of this deer, the left side looks like a normal buck, and then the right side looks like it looks like a kind of a freak, just like the angle of the picture.
Well, in the pictures you were showing me the other night, I was like, well, that's a big buck, but he didn't look this wide. Like, the width is what's just shocking.
The pictures I was showing you, I don't think is this deer.
I don't think so either.
No, but I have a picture of this deer.
Yeah.
There's more, there's a gene pool out there like this. There's short tined wide bucks out there right now. Right. It was just 2 years younger.
Yeah. So how have you felt the season's gone, Brad?
I feel like the storm just made bucks disappear really quick. I've seen a ton of deer. I don't know. I just can't get on a good buck. I've seen half racks.
You got a buck during bow season, right?
Yeah, I got a buck
That was the second weekend of archery.
Yeah, it was the second time I shot that.
Yep. But I what's so unique about the art, that's several times now you brought up the storm, but like that was such a narrow area that was affected by that. I mean, we're thinking about all of Western New York. It's like
it was my entire area.
Right. Where you focus all your hunting time.
I put the night before opening day, I realized I wasn't going to be able to hunt unless I did something. So I blew a path to my shed. I got my tracks out for my Defender. I threw them on. I was up late. Threw them on, got all ready, and I went to bed and got in that Defender in the morning. I was driving down the road, and the deer were like cattle in front of me. They were all on the road, and they were running down the road in front of me. They didn't even want to go in the ditch. Finally, they would, one by one, and they would just like poof, disappear. I get to where I was going to hunt, and I dive into the field with the Defender. That thing goes through anything, and it did. But it was
It did?
It was up to the headlights. I had to keep clearing the headlights off, and it was pushing snow. So I went to a hut, which I hate huts. But I went over to a hut, and I made tracks to it because I would have had a heart attack if I didn't. So I made tracks to it, and then I drove it away and parked the Defender. And I saw this doe running across the field. It was like bounding and bounding and bounding, and then it would stop. It was scared for its life. It definitely got bumped. And it took forever for this thing to get across the field. I was watching it in my scope, right at first shooting, And it was just I didn't stay there all day. I normally stay there all day, but not a lot was going on. And so then my first 2 days were slow, and then I took the first 2 weeks off, which I won't do again. The next Monday and Tuesday, it stormed real bad and it was windy. Mm-hmm. So I came in the property and I walked towards the wind. I was up to my waist, and I just kept walking through there. I was walking right up on deer all the time. It was crazy. And if they would take off out of sight. And if you went over the knoll, there they were again. It was almost like first of all, they didn't want to move. And I feel like they weren't even recognizing a human, you know what I mean? Because they were seeing my torso.
Probably.
And it was weird when I was looking for them, because normally you're looking for deer legs and a body. I had to change and keep correcting myself because I kept looking for that stuff. I was looking for heads, I was looking for ears, which I do look for that stuff too, but I was legit only looking for their heads. They had their beds were crazy.
They basically burrow into the snow, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they were down on the ground, but the snow, and you could see them pop their head up. But I just could not come across the buck the whole year. And if it wasn't good, or it was a half rack. Tons of half racks.
That was the second weekend?
My bow buck was, I don't know, it was the second weekend.
Yeah, it was like the 10th, 9th, 10th.
Definitely the easiest year I ever had. I sat once behind my house. Then I went and sat in my good spot by my pulling plot, and that thing came out like a half an hour before dark and gave me a great shot. It was far, but he gave me a great shot.
It's funny the way that the season plays out, because I could have very easily not taken that shot that I did at Chubby and not killed that deer. And who knows if I would have had another opportunity to shoot it. I've passed a couple bucks with my gun, but with my bow, granted I didn't hunt with my bow much after that, but it's like those opportunities, that might have been the only opportunity with a bow that you would have had. They just present themselves, and it's like you can pass on them, but there's no guarantee you're going to see another deer.
Yeah, like I was telling AJ, I said sometimes it just seems easy. It really does. But the other 99% of the time, you wonder what the hell you're doing.
Like Trigger with does, it just seems easy.
Sometimes when it finally happens, sometimes it's just like if you're really in if you're in a stand, I was thinking about that today, and you really can take your time and you really make a good shot. It almost seems like uneventful sometimes, you know what I mean? But like this buck, when I was, when we were running after it, trying to get it and stuff, it's that's exciting.
It is exciting.
It's harder to do, but it's exciting.
Dude, his head is massive. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a whitetail with a head that just...
I still can't believe I couldn't see it.
Like, head-wise? Oh, to start measuring the crowns of their heads from nose to.
I need a better way to measure deer because I only shoot fucking does.
I'm all about it. I think that's great. Yeah.
The guy that mounted my buck.
You gotta evolve.
The guy that mounted my buck, he takes measurements of the head before he skins it. Oh, I don't know.
They try and find a mold that'll fit the.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't want to have a dinky ass
And
mold.
they take pictures of it and measure it, and they want it to look just like the picture that you were sitting there with
Right.
the deer.
So how much time do you have? You have any time off? I know we kind of talked the other night about it, but
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm not gonna take the first 2 weeks off anymore because
you
I'm gonna
burned it.
I'm gonna take the first week off, but I feel like after the first week, it's over with bucks for a while. And if they do this late season hunting again, I'm gonna skip the second week and I'm taking this late season off.
That's what.
It's way smarter.
That's what I mean, I used to always take the first week of gun off, and it was like, it just was never that great. So now I take off the day before opening day, and then I hunt that weekend, and then you've got typically Thanksgiving that following week, which that's usually a quiet work week, and you get the Friday. So you kind of cheat and get a couple extra days there. But then this late season is just the best. Like, especially this year, we got snow, and the conditions are outstanding. Like, I'm like struggling about what to do tomorrow, because I feel like tomorrow is supposed to be a beautiful day. It's supposed to be like 30s and sunny, low 30s. Like,
I'm gonna hunt tomorrow afternoon.
I know I can't hunt tomorrow afternoon. I got to pick the kids up. So tomorrow is a morning and throughout the day for me.
Mornings have been awful.
So I went to Schmelton Schmill today.
Oh, you take a walk around?
Yeah, so we got Danny Boy a deer.
Really?
Yep. So
Don't
we
have much snow, do they?
Yeah. Yeah, they probably had 6 to 8 inches out there. Yeah. So we no. Trust me, I can measure. I know what 6 to 8 inches is.
You measured it with your nose?
Yeah. Beak first. That's my new measurement scale. I go right in there.
You got to measure from the wall.
Oh, from the wall to beak, yeah. Yeah, that would be consistent. So we covered a lot of ground. Tard and I didn't see a single deer. Like no tracks, like nothing. And I was kind of surprised because I figured we had almost 48 hours of pretty harsh weather. I thought today that they would get out and about, but it was actually pretty windy today. It was not that nice out. But I was really happy that we ended up getting deer in front of Danny, but he ended up kind of doing it himself. He came from the parking area in the middle, and he ended up, kind of, I don't know if he dogged those deer out or what all happened, but he ended up having 3 does kind of come out in the open in front of him, and he shot one and hit it and let it go for a little bit, and it ended up taking a bed. He ended up hitting it in the front shoulder. Probably would have eventually ended up killing it, but he stayed on it and ended up putting the finishing shot on it in its bed. So he was pretty tickled. I mean, Danny hasn't had hardly any time to hunt this year, so pretty happy to see him. I got up there and he was freaking whacking. I was like 15 minutes after I get up there and he had like half the deer already quartered. I'm like, you in a hurry? He's like, yeah, we got to keep hunting. Like, he was ready. But it was good. But yeah, he was pretty pumped about it. And but I knew when I was like 3/4 of the way through my walk this afternoon, and I'm messaging with Tard, and he's like, I'm not seeing any tracks, and I haven't seen any tracks, and I'm like 2 miles into my walk. I'm like, the deer aren't here. They're like just not here. So my mind has started spinning, like, where the hell are they? They're all near ag, wherever because there's no mass crop in the woods this year. Like, I'm not finding acorns, I'm not finding beech nuts, hickory nuts in any of these areas, not really. So I ended up, when I went to leave, we're on our way, I'm driving down the road, kind of down in the valley there, and it's like 3:45, and there's just deer in every cut cornfield, and I'm
well,
like,
it's all ag.
I'm like,
along
son of a, I was pissed at myself because we could have hunted those fringe pieces and been in the deer most of the day, but I'm thinking like, hey, like we got good snow, let's get in some big woods and like cover some miles and find some deer, and it was like,
yeah, find the ridges, the bedding, the good bedding, and
They're definitely hurting up a little bit too, though. So
if we find them, you're in them.
If you find them, you find them. If you don't, you don't. You're gonna have some bad hunts.
it's kind of like PA.
Yeah.
Go 2 days without seeing a buck, and all of a sudden,
How about this year in PA? I went over 30 miles. I didn't see a tail.
You didn't see a deer?
I didn't see a deer.
Are you serious?
I didn't see it the whole time. I did not see a deer. Actually, I did
No,
see a
you
deer.
saw a deer.
When I got back to the truck off the first push, there was one standing there, a doe. So I did see a deer, but it was like.
Oh, that's right. You're up on top of the log pile.
Yeah.
Dude, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, I was on running tracks a couple times, and I definitely saw some real fresh sign, but I never saw a deer.
what do you got, Dallas? Well, I think, are we all gonna make our guesses?
Oh, you saw half that measurements.
Well, just give your
Every sip, I forget them.
yeah. It's like the Men in Black flash.
I already had them all in my head, anyways.
I said
Oh,
one.
Well, I'm curious. Like you and Dallas are pretty good, like looking at deer. What do you think? This is an unusual one, but right.
I really thought that he should be close to 160, but the original math in my head was closer to 150. I still think, like, I was being conservative on a lot of them. So I would say, like, mid to upper 150s. I think he's going to be, like, 157. But I don't,
I'm going to go with 152.
What'd your buck score?
Which one?
That you're 150. What did he score? 153.
152. And the reason why I think this one's a 152 is because this one's wider. The mass is close on both of those bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a little more mass on the one.
You had some more mass out in the beams, I feel.
But he has bigger tines.
Mm-hmm.
Mine has bigger tines. But this is crazy wide. Mine had decent brow tines. I bet you this is a 152. It's got some crazy wide, horns, but
AJ?
Still 148.
148. I said to Sarah when I saw it yesterday, and I was like just waking up, and this is the first thing I'm seeing. I'm like looking at this picture because the first picture you sent was Emma, and I'm like,
that's a great picture.
I'm like,
Emma
oh, this is the best. I'm like, what am I looking at right now? And then all these pictures keep coming through, and it's just like this thing is so freaking big.
You didn't see it till this morning?
No,
okay.
yesterday morning. Yeah.
Right.
I slept in. I could have hunted. Just let it go. I just would have loved to have been there just to see him. So 150. I said to Sarah, that's AJ just shot a 150. So
Well, it's definitely, I think it's definitely in the 150s.
150 and 3/8, just so that it's not exactly 150. So
might put you over.
It might. So we had a lot of guesses on the Facebook. I know we had. Can you scroll down on that screen, Trigger?
Mm-hmm.
We had Mark had a 156 and 7/8. We had Joshua said 146 and 7/8.
Where's the scroll bar?
Over on the right hand side.
163 and 1/8 is Jim D.
He said 163 and 1/8.
Yeah. Now how do I scroll down? Oh.
I don't know if there's any more on there.
Well, I see one guess.
Yeah, it might just be the one guess from Jim.
So Jim D is the only guesser, but
So are we going? I think we should go gross.
oh yeah.
We're going gross. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to say it. AJ gets to say it. What's your gross measurement?
157 and 6/8.
Wow.
Wow.
Closest without going over, bitch.
I think it was trigger. You said 157. Well, you don't count. So we had a 156 and 7/8. That's pretty close. Yeah. I think that's the closest is Mark Mineo. I think that, right? Jim was, Mark?
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so that on there. So Mark's the winner with 156 and 7/8. Well done, Mark. AJ shot a 150. Unbelievable, dude.
That's
Unbelievable. I'm not at all surprised.
So my strategy has been to not shoot anything smaller than the previous year.
Yeah, you're
keep on
fucked.
building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
have to
real
change
good.
that now.
It's all downhill from here, buddy.
Yep. Yeah, I was thinking about that all day today. I'm like, AJ, like he's poisoned. Like, what are you gonna do?
You should just retire.
Did you ever? Was it 120 the buck you shot last year?
Yeah, I think it was like 121 and a half, right? It's one. It was
That was
between
beers on the deck. A little fuzzy. 157 and 7/8, right? Is that what it was?
6/8.
6/8. Yep. You gonna get that tattooed on your ass, are you? Unbelievable.
My point is, I think you need to, because if he's real narrow, I don't know how to really. Yeah.
My mom said, retirement is good, AJ. Rachel will love it on the wall. Show the score sheet. We don't have. Yeah. Mr. Noble wants to see the score sheet. Oh, what did Andrew say? He gave me a score. He said 144 and 5/8. So I'll take a. I don't know if I can get. I'll take a. We'll take a screenshot. You text that to me, and we'll take a screenshot, and we'll post it up so everybody can see the scores. But he was so. Let's give the main stats. He was what 27
and an eighth.
27 and an eighth wide. How long were his beams?
24 and a half.
Equal, pretty. 24 and 3/8 on both. That's pretty wild.
5-inch brow and like a 5 3/4. That right side was just a little shorter on the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was a little shorter on the right side, except for the brow was bigger.
See, it was all shorter on the right side. That's why I didn't shoot him.
Yeah, I mean, you made a good choice not shooting him, Brad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, thank
there's
you.
no reason I would lose any sleep over that.
I don't know if I'm ever gonna be the
Yeah.
same.
No, I mean, you should be fine.
That's what Dallas told me last night. He goes just watching Brian and Brad just try to like reason with themselves in their minds about how they didn't make the shot. I didn't know you had him that close to you. That's
How close was he in his bed?
He was 30 yards away from me.
And I had him less than 10 yards.
Oh my God!
I would have took a ride on his horns if I stayed in that brush.
Yes, you would have.
If I didn't kill him on his way to me.
You would have thrown him.
I'd have put my gun right in his horns there and just rode him.
Bullwinkle.
So we didn't lose him.
Isn't that the whole thing? The legend of Bullwinkle. Isn't that what you do? You jump on its back and ride him into the sunset. So, pretty amazing. You guys got anything else you want to talk about on the podcast? You just want to unplug her and get a couple other bucks you want to score? And what do you want to do?
Yeah, we can score if you don't mind, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what time it is, but
Yeah, No, well, I think we'll wrap it up. Kind of be nice just to hang out here, turn these off, turn some football on, and score a couple bucks, have a drink.
I'm hoping my bow buck makes the book. 120.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for that, and I don't know if that other one's gonna make it or not, but from the one from muzzleloader. But they should be close, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
I think your muzzleloader buck will make it gross, but
yeah, it might not make
it may have
deductions.
enough deductions just because it's a 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's cool to make the book. My Dallas took over for my wife's grandfather, Leon, and he just loves the book. He loves scoring. Oh man, he was talking to me forever yesterday with his buck. You know, he just loves it. The guy can't get enough of it. He's gonna turn 90 in October. He still hunts. He crossbow hunts.
It's awesome.
You know, and he loves it.
Yep.
So I like the book, and actually, I think were you my main suggestion? I think when because Leon was asking me who was going to take it over, or who wanted to take it over, and I didn't want to. I mean, I'm not that. I just don't score that many bucks or whatever, and so I think I was telling him about you. I think that's how it all started, right?
He scored my buck at Hunting Western New York.
Oh. Yeah, I mentioned you a couple times, and then Brian got mad at me because I didn't mention him. But yeah,
he always needs a
you're
official,
you're a good tape holder, Trigger.
Yeah, you just need. There's got to be a witness.
Yeah,
one way or another.
Have you scored a bunch this year?
I have, but nothing officially for the book yet because you got to wait for drying period.
60 days, right?
So I took over the scoring for the Moog archery contest too. So I scored like $6 for that. And then plus all of the stuff that we've been doing. And then when I go places, people are like, "Oh, here they pull out these old mounts and stuff," and they're like, "Here, score this for me."
I think Leon, you know, he likes to score deer, but it does get people wanting to score. Yeah.
So I'm still gonna try to get together with him and do some together because he still likes doing it. I think.
Yeah, he wants to score. He's like, I'll score that for you just to give you an idea, and guy just loves it. So that's why I was hoping I'd make the book, you know, at some point, and then that's why that first buck was so cool. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. He just loves it. So it's good stuff.
It's good stuff. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. AJ, congratulations. You've grown right up in front of all of us and actually went right past everyone. So
I told AJ.
Does anyone have anything bigger than this?
Just
Robert.
Yeah.
So
Just
you got to
Robert.
outdo Robert. You got time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what you just accomplished is...
I'm retiring.
Yeah.
You know
Give
what?
it up.
It's tough when you get the taste.
Full-time pusher.
Because I mean, seriously, I spend a lot of time trying to do this. It's tough. Sometimes I make it to where it's not fun anymore, almost, you know. And so yeah, enjoy.
Full-time pusher, but half the time the pushers shoot him, and
by the
he
way,
shouldn't have made it past either one of us.
I owed him a big buck, and that counts.
Oh shit!
Hey, just because the one he shoved me, I shot. You know, just because he didn't shoot this one.
Well, you know, there's always two views.
No, that counts.
There's two ways to look at.
You could have shot it. So.
Well, you know,
Can't
there's
get any
always
closer.
my opinion and your opinion, and you know they could both be right from one perspective. But I can tell you, in my perspective, you're wrong.
The only thing I could have did different was if I hung on to his ass end or
well,
something.
you should have put something on him.
Slowed him down. But that counts.
You did your best. I mean, that was decent.
Yeah, your best just isn't good enough.
No, it was close, but it just wasn't quite good enough.
The
Between you doing your
anticipation,
best,
too, of hearing you scream.
Oh,
Instead
yeah.
of coming across the radios like we normally do, just
I was
screaming
gonna-
and then just sitting there waiting for everything to happen.
The radio crossed my mind, but then I'm like,
We're
big effing buck coming, Brian, straight towards you.
I don't even know if we're 80 yards.
Next time I say it's coming straight towards you, don't move.
Just fucking lock up. I should have just cocked the hammer and just trusted my good friend.
He put him in your lap,
But I trusted myself.
which is
And that's why he was wrong. He shouldn't have told me.
Because if you weren't thinking, you would have been whacking.
Oh, and after I yelled that to him, it was quiet for a little bit, and then he's like, "Where the F is he?" And I'm like, "Right to you, man." And then I think as those words were coming out of your mouth, I think you probably saw him.
I don't even know.
This will live on in infamy. You got this guy who's just lounging, freaking.
You know, I was
and then you
almost
got
over
you
it.
two just.
I was almost over it.
It's good to talk this stuff through.
Oh, yeah,
really
bring
is.
it back up. You know,
just keep bringing it
you
up.
know, I didn't sleep last night. I thought I was going to sleep tonight.
I'll be bringing it back up on myself for some time. I have to see a counselor.
We may need to see separate ones.
Not each other.
Oh, what a blunder.
Yep.
But then it all ended up great.
Yeah.
I was pretty happy to see AJ shot the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose.
I'm pretty happy I hit him.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy you hit him too. Very proud of you, AJ.
You've come a long way from having deer almost like walk on top of you and not knowing you're there, or having a deer walk by you and you don't have your gun on you, stuff like that. You've come a long way.
I told him that right then and there. I'm like, "You've come a long way. That was a good shot."
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't want to pull that one out yet.
It's awesome. All right, I'm going to stick a fork in it, and then we're going to turn some football on and score a couple more deer. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Congratulations to Mark. I'll hit you up, and we'll get your sizes and stuff to get you situated. So have a great Christmas, everybody. Keep feeding them.